Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? A gracious good morning to you, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. It is Thursday. I had to give that thought. It's Thursday. It's May 15th, middle of the month, y'all, and it is 3:45 in the a.m. Check this out. Can you see my glasses? Get a little closer here. Oscar the Grouch. Yeah, I'm feeling a little grouchy today. And for those of you who don't know, I wear the pair eyewear. Yeah, so there you go. I have different frames for different moods, and today I am definitely Oscar. But that will change, I'm sure. I want to talk to you about something that, or somebody, somebodies that are my heart. Now, the minute any of these individuals tell me that something is wrong, I'm showing up to show out. And these are my boys. When you hear me talk about my nephews, it's usually the babies, the great nephews. But then there are the grown nephews. One is the father of the two little boys, or now 3 little boys. And the other is a grown nephew who, well, they're all grown. The firstborn, who is a teacher. And then, I shared that I'm ride or die for my sister. Yeah, so don't mess with any of these folks. Don't upset any of these folks, because then you're going to have to talk to me. And that's how I feel about my family, man. I'm saying all this to say, it's like my sister and I have both had conversations and provided lessons to these individuals about what it means to be black in this country. I come from some strong-willed folks who understand and who understood the assignment that is required by us. We've gotten away from a lot of life lessons, that give us the opportunities to be able to talk about these things. So in other words, if we didn't have folks that went before us, we would not be here. And, my sister has taken one of the now grown men to Africa. And the other one, she's taken to D.C. And this is when they were younger. So now we have the opportunity of the 2 itty bitties, and they're not itty bitties anymore. They're one is in double digits and the other one is getting there. And it's just, I want to say, a blessing to see the lights come on. And as they get to experience the torch, if you will, or they get to take up the mantle bit by bit as they're able to understand it. I've had the opportunity to share literature, life-changing literature, and life-changing lessons. And, I know I'm a taskmaster when it comes to really stepping up and representing. See, I shared that my family is multiracial, and as the boys become men, they have experienced some things that they would not otherwise experience because of how they look, how they present, because they grew up, I want to say, entrenched in the Filipino culture. So there's some black lessons that need to be learned, and I thank God I have the opportunity to even have this conversation with two generations. I'm saying all this to say, my sister took the younger boys, the great nephews, to hear Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talk about being a black man in this country. The youngest one, she said, fell asleep. The oldest one took it all in, and they had a conversation the following morning. And she said the conversation was right on point, and I enjoyed the heck out of hearing that. And I shared with her, comment, iconic moments in life when you meet your icons. And yeah, man, it was just a really cool conversation to hear that my nephews are waking up to certain aspects. The oldest great nephew, I had a conversation with, well, I wrote a letter because I got at him really hard about something. And I want to explain to him why I got at him the way I did. And I asked him, to read the book with his father. Read the book Between the World and Me with his father, so they can have this experience together. Now I'm going to start introducing books and literature and aspects of the culture. He got to hear Kareem, and I shared with my sister my iconic moment is when I got to hear and see Angela Davis and Dr. Monique Morris talk about this new movement of mass incarceration of women. Women are labeled, or black women are labeled early on in school systems and pushed out and then forced into the legal system. And that's not talked about. And we need to really, really begin to have this discussion as well. And as I was driving in this morning, I started thinking about, this wave of government that we currently have, and why certain aspects are being erased. It's because, bottom line is people don't want to hear about the brutality and the cruelty. And because there's this mindset of entitlement and superiority. Now, you may not subscribe to it, intellectually, but it's so deeply ingrained in our culture that you enjoy the privileges of it. And you're not willing to dismantle it or just deconstruct it in your thought process, because it leaves you with too many questions of identity. I mean, from day one in the forming of this country, there's been a sense of nationalism. There's been a sense of privilege and entitlement. And I don't want any person in any kind of BIPOC community to ever think that we, the people, included them. From day one, folks were subjugated. But we hear this romanticized version in school, about Thanksgiving. That's where it started. And one of the rudest awakenings I ever had in life, and I think this is what really put me on the path to understanding, the impact of what we're taught, what we embrace, as opposed to what is real. This happened in college. Now, I shared that early on, my mom took a Black literature course, and I read books like a fiend. I would go to the library, get about 8 books every Saturday, and I'd read them in that week and go get more. Every weekend I was in the library. So that, I read Soul on Ice, Letters from Soul Dad. I started reading Black Panther literature early on because my mother took this Black Lit class. I still have the book Black Voices and Soul on Ice. So I sent away for Black Panther literature at the age of 8. That intrigued me. But like I said, the rudest awakening I had was I was in college, and there was an actual old school member of the Panther Party in one of my classes. And this brother, we got into a conversation, and he posed a question. I don't even remember how we got into the conversation, but he posed this question to me. Do you really believe that Rosa Parks randomly just one day decided, I'm not going to move to the back of the bus? He explained to me that was staged. See, and that's not how I learned it. So it challenged my thinking. And it upset my apple cart on the real because I had this romanticized version. And see, I want my great nephews to learn early on the truth and how to move in the truth. And that's what the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar speech was about, being Black and moving in truth and the power of protest. Now, if you look at any kind of accounting from most of the players on the Lakers, they didn't like Kareem. And they didn't like Kareem because he was old before his time, if you will, and he stood for something. And he challenged them too. I'm glad that I can be that auntie. I'm glad that my sister has stepped up to be that auntie. And it's not on a mean level. It's on a real level.